Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The New View. And today, the topic is on generational issues. I'm sure we all have gone through a phase where we were adolescents, and as a parents, we have adolescents at home or in the family. So today's topic is around it. My name is Sanjay Kaul. I am a coach, trainer, speaker, and a business entrepreneur. With me, as always, is Mr. Harish Mehta, a coach and a trainer with the business excellence. So let me bring in Mr. Harish to the screen. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. In India,
How is Mumbai doing, sir?
Mumbai has been raining for the last couple of days. And it's heavy rains and non-stop, stopping for half an hour every hour. So it's been this way for the last full August. We have been having rains.
Awesome.
And now we cannot say we have shortage of water. And today we are going to the Ganpati Festival, 2 more days to go.
Yes.
So people are enjoying, and today's Sunday. People are visiting homes and paying to the Ganpati at people's places and the pandals which are there, but they are much less than they used to be last year, for obvious reasons.
Obviously. It's fantastic. But the vibrance and the spirit still goes on.
Yeah. In Maharashtra, in Mumbai, Pune, it's the most popular festival, and it's the beginning of the festival season in the country. So everybody anticipates and expects that. Good time.
And we do hope this year Lord Ganesha brings in finally a lot of happiness, peace, prosperity, and good health for everyone.
Yeah, that's what Lord Ganesha brings in to the community, and especially to the people of Mumbai and other parts of the country. So very happy to celebrate the festival. But today it's a low key because of the normal conditions. They are different than they would have been last year or they have been earlier.
Okay, great. So coming to today's topic, sir, surviving adolescence. Any initial thoughts from your side?
Great topic, and we have a great person who's going to share her thoughts, and she's a powerful person, and I'm sure the audience are going to love it. I'm proud to know her personally and looking forward to the session, and I'm sure she's going to install something special in people's minds so that they can remember for a long time. Me too, I'm looking forward to listening to her and sharing this to the community at large. Once we learn from her something special, would love to share and looking forward.
Before I bring in our expert for the day, any of your experiences with your kids when they were adolescents? Would you like to share any?
Yeah, I would like to share, basically I was too busy with my career. So maybe 8 to 8, 8 to 9. So I missed out the initial parts of the children growing up. And then school, high school and college, my wife took after everything that was required, and especially the tuitions and the other co-curricular activities that the children had gone through, dancing, singing, all that stuff, painting, and some other things which were prevalent 20 years back or 25 years back, because my children have grown up now. So now I think there are some new normals. Would love to learn from the guest speaker. And I, for one, did not involve myself in their admissions into any of those courses or colleges which they went to. And I'm proud they went on their own. and I was building my career and myself. So I'm happy and proud that they today stand well on themselves. Both my daughters are professionals. One is a professional fashion designer, and the older
Mhm.
one is a professional branding and advertising expert, and well qualified. She's done her studies from Milan in Italy, and the younger one
Yeah,
is having her own business in fashion design
great.
and technology, and she's doing styling for some of the good people, the cine artists. She's happy. She's happy with what she's doing, and I'm
Awesome.
proud of that.
Awesome. So, let me give a quick introduction about the guest speaker today. Her name is Nija Singh, and she is a teenager, but a senior teenager. And that's how she is known as Teenager.
Oh, she's coined a great word. Lovely.
Awesome. So it's a senior teenager, teenager. So we have a teenager in our discussion today who is senior. Nija is a professional speaker on generational issues, and she has an experience of almost 37 years around work and the life, and she has been in advertising. She has been she is a writer. She is a winner of awards. She is also a journalist, has a background of a teacher, and also worked as a TV anchor and is a professional columnist. There's a lot more to talk about her, but before I take the entire session, I will love to call her on the screen. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Sanjay. Good afternoon, Harish. Thank you for having me
Welcome,
here.
welcome to the stage.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Looking
you.
forward to listen to your great voice with full of energy, and I'm sure there's lots to learn from what you're going to share, not only for me and Sanjay, for all the listeners today, both on YouTube and the channel that we have, and also Facebook Live. So looking forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we stream it for Facebook and YouTube, and we stream it every Sunday at 4 p.m. And we try to bring an expert every Sunday. The best part it is that we are growing. This is our 14th episode. Initially, we used to do in a very close group environment. Now, this is streamed live every Sunday, 4 p.m. on the Facebook and YouTube channels of Oslas Consulting, which is our official channel. So, this objective of this is to bring in an expert to speak about the subject, create the awareness, because what we believe in these days, the right type of an knowledge or the awareness is not available, and that's where people start finding the shortcuts. Also introduce an expert where the people are always free to connect with them, join them, and take their suggestions, consulting, and also get educated in the process. The trend has been the live viewers slowly join in, but over the period of 5 to 6 days, the lot of viewership comes in. And with the connects of Mr. Harish, who has been mentoring this program in the back end, we are now having viewers across 8 countries. So I'm sure the viewers are getting benefited, and today also, like always, they'll get benefited. And now the stage is yours, ma'am, all yours.
Thank you. Sanjay, I have to begin this session with a few disclaimers. Number one, I want to credit my golf buddy. Her name is Payal Soni. She was the one who first mentioned this word teenager. So I didn't coin it, I borrowed it from her. So all credit, Payal, to you. And number two, about being an expert. The thing is that all around us, changes are so fast that
Yeah.
not a single one of us can actually claim to being an expert, because all of us are having to really reset our thinking. and the
Yeah.
way we've been functioning all these years, and more so for my generation. I'm what you call the pre-cablers in India, boomers in the United States. And the reason I, yes, the reason I picked this topic, surviving adolescence, uh, I think there's a huge need to, sensitize all of us to adolescent mental health. There is something happening there, and in very uncomfortable, uneasy, sometimes dangerous ways. And we as a culture, as a society, are not sensitive enough to what's going on there. Now, I also want to share with all of you that a lot of what I'm going to say is based upon a few books I've read, and the first author that I want to credit this talk to is John Duffy. He's done extensive research, and I found a lot of his writings really fit the scenario that we are seeing around us. So whatever I'm sharing is borrowed from his book, and a lot of it from my experience. And I'd like to know from all of you who are listening out there what you think about what I'm about to share. So let's begin right away.
Awesome.
Adolescence. And why do we say surviving adolescence? Sanjay, you're free to interrupt me whenever you feel the need to, but because now on, I'm just going to be at it. There are a few things I'm very excited to share with all of you. Now, friends and listeners, I will call this new adolescence. It's not adolescence anymore. It's new. Why is it new? It's new because the World Health Organization now defines adolescence, the age that begins at 10 years and continues till 24 years. Young people are staying adolescent longer. They are taking more time to launch. They are adulting later. The environment today is far more harsh and challenging than I grew up in. So, therefore, what we are discussing now is a stage called the new adolescence. Now, during this stage, something very unforgivable, unaffordable is happening. And what that is that we are losing out on potential young lives in two ways, not one. Number one, a lot of talent is staying untapped because a lot of young people are choosing to opt out. They're opting out. They're just switching off. They're stepping back. They're putting their hands up and they're saying, we don't want to have any more of this. And this is one end of the spectrum where they're opting out. And the other end of the spectrum, you have brilliant, high achieving adults who are just burning out. So imagine there is an opting out and there is the burning out. For any society, any culture to have the young people in either one of these states is unforgivable. That means we are not performing our roles. It's every generation's mandate to leave behind a generation that is prosperous, that is healthier than them, that's doing better than them. Isn't that what each one of us wants? But unfortunately, we are probably going to be the first generation who will leave behind young people who are not as well equipped to handle the challenges that are coming at them, crashing at them, literally. So, this is why the new adolescence is important to address. Now, the first question I know some of you are going to ask is, what is this anxiety about? What is all this noise about? What is all this alarm bell that you're ringing about? The children have everything today. Their parents are supportive of them. They give them enough freedom. They're making their choices of careers. They are the ones who are settling for the partners. We are a whole society just doing all in our power to facilitate our youngsters. But believe you me, just look around you. Look around you and look a little deeper, and you'll find a looming anxiety. There is a looming anxiety in the air. It's palpable. This generation, the adolescents, they are far more aware of the passage of time than you and I ever were. They are aware of the the entire scope of their lives. We didn't think in terms of lives. We didn't think in terms of a lifetime when we were small or we were their age. There were milestones and we were just moving from one milestone to another. Things were fairly clearly laid out. That's not the case with this generation. Bright ones amongst them have a fear of their house of cards falling. There's this ever-present fear, self-doubt. I don't know how long this will last because there's so many changes going on around, so many changes going on around at the same time. And India in particular, Ramchandra Guha, the historian, has said that there are 5 revolutions going on at this very moment in India. Imagine that's a whole lot to take in, whole lot to cope with. A lot of young people today, because of the comparisons that comes from social media, from the waterfall of information that is crashing on their heads all the time, many of them have a doubt whether they are actually well liked. They don't feel they're well liked, many of them. Don't go by the exterior. Some of them have the fear of always being alone or even unlovable, some of them. There is a culture around them that pushes. There's a phrase that we constantly use: be the best version of yourself. Isn't that what we, are drumming all the time around everyone? Be the best version of ourselves. Of course, be the best version of yourselves. But what is this best? What is the definition of best? How far do you take it? How do you define it? Where do you stop? Who decides that you have become best enough? So there is this constant feeling of falling short. It's a very insidious kind of internal persecution. This thing, call it perfectionism in a way. Now, many young people, the overachievers as well as the underperformers, what they do is when this anxiety takes over, they will try and self medicate because around them there is this anxiety inducing cultural circumstances, what I call. Now, we don't we don't realize that anxiety is actually uh, a very dangerous psychological predator. What anxiety does is it isolates and highlights the systems, sorry, not the systems, the symptoms that we fear. I don't know how many of us ever, back when we were growing up, experienced a panic attack or were witness to a panic attack. Panic attack is a real thing. There are young people experiencing the physical symptoms of panic attack today. With some of them, it may not look as serious as a panic attack. It may be just a buzz. It's a buzz. It's a generalized buzz of fear all the time. There's a persistent buzz of fear. And anxiety feeds on itself. So, what happens when you're anxious? You're also anxious about being anxious. So, there you go. It just keeps echoing, growing, and creating a lot of problems for people who are the young people who are going through it. Now, no matter what you tell these young people, again, disclaimer, not every young person, not every adolescent is experiencing this, but enough of them are experiencing this for us to start taking it seriously. And the proof is the headlines, the offices, outpatient departments of the therapists, the psychiatrists who are prescribing medications. All this is proof. The suicidal ideation, sometimes loss of life, increasing addiction problems, and how smoking up and marijuana, the use, it's numbing the pain that is happening. And this is proof around all of us. So the question to ask is, why do the adolescents, some of them, enough of them, feel the need to self medicate or to harm themselves? The problem is, like I just mentioned, they see themselves, many of them, as unlovable or unworthy, sometimes unimportant, because there's so many comparisons, there's so many celebrities, there's so many heroes, there's so many influencers out there. I didn't know what beyond my cousin, who the second, third person was doing, or how well they were running, or how fast they were climbing mountains, or what a fantastic pilot they were. I had no information about any of them. But the comparison today is far greater and far present. It's in their face. So there is this constant comparison with each other. And a lot of them are, unfortunately, I've I've had I've had young people admit that they feel outright, flat out toxic sometimes. They feel that they are not good enough for people around them. Imagine, did we have ever this sharp self awareness to actually talk of ourselves in these terms? I don't think so. So these are very, very special people who are struggling with the kind of circumstances that you and I couldn't even have dreamt of. And the symptoms, I don't know how many of us heard about school refusal earlier. There is school refusal today. And the anxiety that we are discussing can show up in the form of an acid reflux with some of them. There'll be an impulse to vape. It's called a hyperkinetic impulse. You are feeling tense, anxious, and you just reach out for something that will give you immediate relief. A lot of young people today are vaping and juuling. Read up on it. That's another problem. A whole lot of my generation and the next set of parents, we've got our blinkers on. We've just stopped seeing certain things that are happening around us. We really need to be more informed. We need to read more. We need to be more alert to symptoms around. Now, some of them will grab their phone to relieve that anxiety, or there's a tendency to act out. These are all manifestations of a profound, profound anxiety. There is anxiety about the future. There is anxiety about money. There is anxiety about climate. Greta Thunberg, Malala Yousafzai, did we ever have such young social justice warriors back then when we were growing up? Beyond the orange ice lolly or the softie, what more was the concern? Or Kill Kill Me movie. Here are these young people today, and it starts younger and younger. They have questions like, am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? Will I be able to sustain myself and my family? These are the questions that they are struggling with. And therefore, the need to be sensitive to what the adolescents are going through today. Now, I just shared with you that what I shared with you the circumstances, the situations that they're dealing with. Now, what's happening is that it is taking a crisis for the adults in the lives of these adolescents to really, really begin to see what it is that these adolescents are dealing with. But it should not take a crisis to elicit that kind of, the strength that is inside them. It shouldn't take us a crisis. We should be able to anticipate what is coming towards us. But what's happening today is that a young person is landing up in the emergency room because they've just passed out and the parents don't know that they are actually consuming alcohol. And again, parents are the last ones to know in our society. Everybody else knows. Parents don't know. Suddenly you'll get a call from somewhere that your child is, well, to use a word within quotes, tripping. And the parent doesn't know what it means. What do you mean tripping? I have no clue that my child is using or abusing drugs. It's happening right under our noses, but we are not acknowledging it. We're taking that much longer to get help for that person. That child needs help. So why must it take crisis? We cannot afford this. We have to be proactive about this. Therefore, all these, these thoughts and these ideas that I'm sharing with you, because it's very important for younger parents, for the parents who are right now bringing up children, to be aware of the exposure of the environment of the children and to acknowledge that, yes, this can happen. Another problem with us, especially Indian parents, that not my child. Sharma ji ke bete ko ho sakta hai, lekin mere bacche ko nahi ho sakta. Ho sakta hai. They're all connected. Our children have 4 parents today: father, mother, YouTube, and the peer. Every child is being brought up by 4 parents. I see this everywhere because I'm seeing it around me. There are young people who are listening to gurus on the internet and they're so deeply influenced, brainwashed. And somebody who's sitting in the Silicon Valley a venture capitalist who's encouraging this young person sitting in India to start an, their entrepreneur business is not aware of the local context or where that child is sitting and what his environment is like. So you are there, you're going to be dealing with the consequences of all these influences that surround your child, your adolescent, and younger, remember, from the age of 10 to age of 24. Now, what do you do about this? Uh, of course, we know the theory. We know that the children, the adolescents, the number one thing they need is acceptance. But again, conditional and unconditional love. There's no problem when our children are doing well. There's no problem when we can boast about them, right? That my child went to an Ivy League school and they're doing very well in their jobs, and I'm very proud of them. Of course, that's fairly easy. But what about what about adolescents who are struggling? What what do we do there? How do we respond to them? Again, now this brings me to the very narrow definition of success that my generation has been used to until now. That definition of success is changing, and I'm so glad that it is these adolescents, anxious adolescents, who are forcing that change upon us. We haven't done it on our own. It's being thrust upon us by these young people who are anxious, who are struggling, even when they're doing well, but who are very honest. They're kind. They are they're generous. They're authentic people. They want to they want to do the right and be the right person. They're struggling with circumstances, but they're also bringing in, through all their anxiety and depression and struggles, they're bringing in new definitions to what it means to be happy, what it means to be successful. And for that, hats off to these young people. So we were talking about accepting. When you don't accept these young people who are struggling, they feel they're floating all alone and aimlessly. Many of them are not comfortable talking to their parents about a lot of things. So they end up talking to their peers who are as wise or as well unwise as they are, the same age group. They don't have the benefit of hindsight. Also, we must remember constantly that our children are very aware of our contempt and our disdain. They are. Even if we don't say it openly, we might fool ourselves that, oh, we are not saying anything. We are being, not expressing our disapproval. We are just not kind of being critical or judging. If we're not judging, we're not saying anything. But children are very sensitive. They pick up little cues from our body language, from the tone of our voices. They know. They know that their parents or the adults in their lives are disappointed in them. They know that there is contempt there and there is disdain there. And what that does is it reduces what I call EBA, emotional bank account, which is our only chance with the adolescents today. You know that parenting has lost all authority. Parenting was once upon a time a very authoritative business, but the world has gone flat. Hierarchies are going in many areas of our lives. And most of all, in parenting, with the new education policy that's coming in, is going to be happening in the schools also. So when you have lost that parental authority, what is your chance there? What is your armament, your arsenal? What are you going to be using with the children? You're going to be using your emotional bank account. Emotional bank account. And you have to be very careful because that's the only parent card that you have with your child. Only when the child feels that you've been there for them are they going to be open to any suggestions from you. So what you do with these children is work really hard to keep alive that connection with them. Not be alarmed when you are met with some or they share some bad news with you. Firstly, the fact that they're sharing bad news with you is a big compliment to you. That means they feel safe enough. They feel safe enough with you to be able to share their problems or the mess they are in. So that's a great thing. Be open to the child. Let the child come and share what they're struggling with. And it's our job as adults and parents to come from a place of information and not condemnation or judgment or criticism. This doesn't mean, I know a lot of people say that this means that this is odd. You should be able to say something to your children or point out where they're going wrong. But believe you me, this is about much more than just having them listen to your directions. We need to be very different now with this new generation. We cannot be micromanaging them like we've done in the past. So, what you have to do today, your role as a parent, is find ways to help the adolescents see these qualities in themselves. They are, like I just said, that there are a lot of beautiful qualities that young people have. The thing we need to do is help them see those qualities. Another thing is, uh, many of us have children who've been to professional schools. They studied law, but they decided to become a scuba diving instructor. And there was some disappointment in the family. But today is not the time to dismiss their passions or strengths as folly or as something worthless or it's something unacceptable. And if you do that, it doesn't mean that you're foregoing parenting or allowing them to do nothing. That's not what you're doing. What you're doing is you're giving them. Hello? Yes.
Yeah, please, we
Sorry,
are all.
sorry, Sanjay. I just felt that there was some kind of a break here. Yes, I'm back.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is helping them to build their self-esteem. Yes, helping them build their self-esteem one step at a time. So when they have all these questions, now which generation in the past, I'd like to know from you, had the wisdom to ask these questions at a younger and younger age? Why am I here? What's my purpose in life? Will what I what's what is the role? What is the impact that I can have on people around me? I don't remember any generation in the past thinking in such existential terms. Perhaps we did have these thoughts, but we were not able to express it. Perhaps we didn't have the vocabulary back then. But these children do have that vocabulary, they do have that thoughts, and that is something which is to be respected and which is to be nurtured. And if we don't do this, you'll find, which is already happening, a lot of young people using medicines like Alderol or Ritalin, or I'm forgetting the name of one more medicine I know that these young people pop just because they feel this need that they are not enough and they have to be better and stronger and faster and all of that. That they feel the need to meet that completely almost an impossible standard that we're always pushing at them. So these are my thoughts on the adolescence and um, yes, right. So I'd like to know your views. I'd like to know whether you agree with me, whether your experiences have been along these lines. And it's very, very important to be sensitive because many of us in families and in schools, when young people complain of uh, not wanting to participate, if they don't want to meet relatives, or they don't want to accompany family on outings, or they don't want to. Some of them even get out of bed, or they lock themselves behind shut doors. There is this tendency to say, "Why don't you get into your jogging shoes? Why don't you go for a run? Why don't you watch a movie? Why don't you call up your friends?" but there has to be sensitization and awareness of what the new adolescents today are struggling with. That's my that's my message for you, and that's what I wanted to share with you. Yes, Sanjay.
Yes, yes,
I'd
amazing.
like to
This
take
was,
more questions. Yes,
yeah, this amazing. A lot of learning, lot of you know. My daughter is just 19, and I have been going through the teenage things, and what I was just resonating what you were speaking about, and how the teenagers. I think today we cannot just bluff a teenager. We cannot tell them उस दिन ऐसा बारिश आ रहा था or something like that. If they ask some questions, they need to have relevant answers, because today, courtesy internet, everything is available at a touch of a finger, and we can't just be them. But yes, one important topic, one question rather I have is, we spoke about anxiety, right? And
yes,
I believe that anxiety is from both sides,
right.
right? So how to manage, what will be your advice to the parents? I see these days parents are having more anxiety attacks than the kids these days.
That's true. Sanjay, you said something, very interesting just before this anxiety, this discussion about anxiety. This you talked about your child. Their bullshit meter, what I call the young people's
Yes.
bullshit meter, is very finely attuned. So
Yes.
they'll tell bullshit right away. They know they see through you. They see through all the nonsense that once upon a time was enough to. We used to take it in and we didn't kind of react to it, but no, that
Yes.
doesn't work with these young people. They look through you, they see through you. They're not just us, they see through authority, they see through the politicians, they see that they're not doing their jobs, they see that the figures of authority are not
Oh, yeah.
delivering. They understand the double standards, the double speak. They're smart, they see it all. And to answer the question on anxiety, see, it's true that we are also more anxious than our parents. It's the culture around us, but which is why the parents, the adults, and the teachers have a new role to play today. There was a time when the other generations used to say that, I've brought you up, I've done my job, now I can sit back.
Yeah.
आप मेरे बुढ़ापे का सहारा हो, आप मेरे बुढ़ापे की लाठी हो. But अभी ऐसा नहीं है. अभी you have to continue to stay relevant to the lives of these young people. You have to,
Yes.
which is why I'm constantly reading and trying to stay informed and trying to stay current. And about the adults' anxiety, really speaking, that is something that is our responsibility. We are accountable for that. The children can look to us for help, but we have to help ourselves. We have to help each other. There, the onus is, I would say, the onus is entirely on the adult. Find ways and means to address your anxieties, because today, Sanjay, there's no excuse not to know, or say that you do not know what to do, because there's enough and more information out there at the
Hmm.
click of a button. So do that and find a way to deal with your anxiety, whether it's by working out. We know the drill. We know all the recipe of how anxiety, and so many of us are using online resources to deal with our anxieties. But it is the adolescents that are of primary concern to me, because this definition of success that we have passed on to them, that's not
Yeah.
working. And more the message has to go out. And I would use this opportunity to say that it is the balance of what is called goodness of fit. What is it that comes naturally to you? That's why it's taking adolescents longer to arrive at what they want to do with their lives. They're figuring out, right?
Ah, yes.
So
Yes.
the goodness of fit, number one, balance, goodness of fit, emotional well-being. Number one is emotional well-being. And what we can do, adults, to promote their emotional well-being is just listen. Just listen. Just listen. Easier said than done, because we offer solutions. The minute
Hmm.
a child comes to you and starts talking to you, you immediately, because your anxiety goes up, what am I going to do? I'll have to deal with the consequences. This child is now sharing a problem, and something is going to come fall into my lap, and I'll have to make calls, or I'll have to provide the resources. I'll have to get into the car and rush somewhere. So you don't listen. You kind of jumping ahead and offering solutions. Why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it that way? I did it this way. That's not what the
Hmm.
right thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I hear it many times, many times I also observe that, before we really listen to understand, and not just listening, I'll put it, we have to listen to understand before we are having that eagerness to reply that, yeah, I know it. That is one of the major things I felt, with some parents I talk to sometimes, though that's not my forte, but sometimes you come across parents, they force their choices and they force their decisions on the new generation of adolescent today, which is causing unrest and leading to the another factor which you mentioned is about they take to those, different things, substances and things like that, which is coming from the home only. It's not coming from outside actually.
So, Sanjay,
I
if I may
would.
ask, when does the parent lose the child and why? At school,
May
at home, or while the child is growing up and the parent is busy building his or her career, and the
Mhm.
parent is busy and preoccupied in other things than growing the child. I wanted to have your opinion on that. And then, how responsible are teachers today? In our days, 40 years back, it was different. How responsible are they today to create the environment which is prevalent? And in different cities, we have different environments.
Hmm.
Bombay, Delhi, Kolkata, if I'm familiar with. So I wanted to have your opinion on that.
Okay.
Is a question for me, Sanjay?
Yes, ma'am, you're the
Yes,
expert.
yes.
Okay. Yes, yes. See, Harish, what my sense is that it's not very different today in all these cities, because in fact the bunties and the bubblies in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities are more hip and more with it than I would say the urban adolescents, because of the internet. It may not be visible on the surface, but internet has gone quite deep, and
Yes.
they're changing these tier 2 tier 3 cities. Also the young people there are really changing. They have changed, and their ambitions, their motivations are quite quite in line with what's happening in the urban cities today. What is and they're making their escape. Many of them are making their escape from those spaces, and their role models are young people in the urban cities. They want to be like them. Money is a big primary concern. They would like to be economically independent, of course, and also the lifestyle. So you'll be right now. I'm talking to you from Pathankot in Chandigarh. Even in Pathankot, there are a lot of young people who are living a certain way today, which is not very different from the way they're living in bigger cities.
Hmm.
And about who is responsible, about the teachers, again, huge amounts of sensitization, because I think we are in a very, in India, we are in a very, it's a slippery slope we are treading, because of the internet. All these ideas of individuality, liberty, independence, personal space, privacy, all these ideas have come in, and they've been internalized and absorbed by the younger generations. But the older generations are still very much around. The culture is still stuck in ways of thinking, the ways of thinking that are more attuned to the community. So it's usually about the family, it's usually about the community, it's usually about the clan, it's usually about a village. But here you have these young people who are thinking very independently. They don't want family recognition to be the benchmark for their actions and or their choices anymore. And not just in India, it's an Asian way of looking at
Yeah.
things, that family recognition and family approval, those matter. But for more and more young people today, those are not primary concerns anymore. It is about your one life. To be doing with
Mhm.
your one life, how well and how authentically and how impactfully. And they want to make a difference. This generation wants to make a difference. They
Yes.
want to leave some footprints behind. It's not enough for them to earn a living and just be okay with that. No, it's not enough for them. They want to make a bigger difference. You may not have told them, I may not have told them, Sanjay may not have told them, but they've absorbed it from the environment.
Correct.
So a lot of sensitization, even with the teachers, that you do not shame. You and I think Harish, Sanjay, and we've been brought up by a culture of, well, let me put it like this, like culture of shame. We were really shamed in school.
Yeah.
Stand there, sit
Agree.
down here. Why are you speaking up? You don't ask the teacher questions. A good student does not ask questions. We used to be nervous. I remember I was studying at St. Mary's Convent, Allahabad. I wanted to just go to the toilet one day. I remember being so scared of the sister. I had to work up my courage. I left it almost too late to just get up and ask, Sister, I'd like to go to the washroom, please. There was such fear. There's such fear of authority. It's a
Right.
very, very different way of looking at things, but I don't think that will have to change, and it is changing. These children are forcing. I would say they are forcing empathy upon us. They're actually reverse mentoring us. We love them. We want to do the best we can for them,
And
and
there
if this
was
is what
also
works with them, yes.
the first question which Harish asked was very interesting. When does a parent lose a child?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. That's right. Thank you for bringing back my attention to that, Sanjay. Harish, that's a beautiful question, and the answer to that is, actually, most of us don't realize it until it's too late. We,
Hmm.
many of us are losing our children right under our noses, in front of our eyes, and then we are turning around and saying, I'd like my communication with my child to be warmer, to be
Hmm.
more intimate, but it's not so. And when you look back and try to remember, when did that happen? And it's just happened right under our noses. So it's
Yeah.
hard to put a finger on that and say exactly this is the point at which. I've heard stories where the parents have brought their child for a therapy session, and there's a discussion, family therapy going on, and right there inside that office, they've lost their child
Oh.
because of, yes, because of some response they made, or because of the way they reacted or the way
Reacted.
they engaged. Yes. So
Hmm.
and today again, Sanjay, this is very interesting. Today, these children of ours, these adolescents today, they have support structures outside, which you and I
Oh
didn't have.
yes.
At least I didn't have. They have
Of
an
course.
entire community, and they could be drawing, they could be studying. Let me put it like this: they could be studying their emotional life, talking
Hmm.
to someone sitting in San Jose or across the continent somewhere else, or in Japan
Anyway,
or somewhere, no, anywhere in the world. They could be steadying themselves with an anchor sitting anywhere in the world today.
true.
So it's not that they need their parents in the ways that we needed, again, within quotes
True.
to put.
True.
So that is
So
what
how
it
much
is.
would they
Yeah.
accept the parent to hover around or would love to share? Or at what age the mother, especially for the daughter, loses out the daughter because the mother is more at home and the son or the daughter are coming back from school or they are around. So if I ask you, uh, is the mother more responsible to be more sensitive in these with the children at adolescent age?
Hmm.
How they should do that?
Okay.
Right, right. Uh, Harish, that question again indicates that we are not completely in touch with what's happening today, because the gender roles are changing. The father's role and the mother's role, they are no longer as clearly
Completely changed.
defined. Yes, they're not defined as they once were. That it's the mother's domain to be more emotionally available if the child breaks their heart or suffers a breakup. It's the mother that the child will come to. That's not the case anymore. My daughters
Right.
go to their father. They go there. The father is their go to parent. if they are
Mm.
suffering some emotional, distress. Because
Yeah.
I'm talking
in me,
about 12 to
sorry,
18, specific.
12, okay, you're talking about a certain age group. I would say even for that age group, it could be the father today, it could be the mother, either of the two today.
Mm.
So
Because a lot of fathers are, sorry.
when do you think we lose out on the child when the child doesn't come back to you and you have limited time or zero time to be with the child? And what should they do to be more sensitive?
The first thing to do is stay connected, make a conscious effort to stay connected right from the word go, which means even if you don't like the child's music, listen to the music. Even if the child is interested in something that you may feel that is not really substantial,
Relevant.
express in yes relevant, express interest in that. Get
Mm.
get into get into the trenches literally. Our parenting so far has been a little superficial. We've provided for them, we've taken care of their needs, but their emotional needs are something else today. So even between 12 and 18, the age group that you're talking about, that is a time to stay as connected with your child as
Mm.
possible. On And the way to stay connected is to be interested in what they are listening to be interested in what they are reading, which is not the kind of time that we are really able to spend, many of
Sure.
us. But we don't have a choice now. I think that is something that will have to be done to keep the connection with your child. Otherwise,
Great.
with all the technology around us, it's already becoming a little
All right.
fragile, the connection. Yes,
See, talking of technology, even today, we never thought we'll be having a conferences and
exactly.
webinars and everything.
Yes,
Things are changing. So
so
I have
true.
a couple of questions from the audience. We're also
Yes,
running into the time.
yes,
Here's a
please.
question from uh, Amita: how to interact with kids when they show tantrums?
I know. It's a difficult question to answer because I've been there, I've been in those shoes. The thing is that a tantrum will not, if you just look at it in a very isolated, as an isolated incident, that the tantrum has happened. Now, what do you do? Do you drag the child, or do you, what do you do? But what's important to understand is the circumstances around what has led to that tantrum. And I have to admit here, I had a parent tell me that the child is watching a TV serial in which there's this young character who just screams and gets all her needs met. If she wants a
Hmm.
doll, she'll scream. How will it scream and how? And the doll is given to her. And if she wants something else, she wants to go out or she needs a dress, she just screams. So it is, you're right. It's a very difficult question to answer. You try and be as graceful as you can at that time, depends on where you are. But again, remember that these tantrums, hopefully, if you have been able to form a connection with the child from the word go, perhaps these tantrums, firstly, may not happen at all. That would be the best, the ideal thing, that there's no need for these tantrums. But with young children, tantrums do happen. And it's a balance that you have to strike between. A very hard thing to do, but it's currently a challenge that all parents are facing, on how much of a friend to be and how much of a disciplinarian to be.
Hmm.
And that is something that each parent decides,
That
at
will
that
depend.
moment. And
Yeah.
I have to grant you, Sanjay, that we are constantly improvising. All of us are
Oh,
improvising because these
that's
are
that's
new
that's the reality
situations.
of life.
Yes, that's a new situation you're facing with today.
Great, great. Thank you, Amita, for your questions. There's one more question. This is from Preeti. How to control the impatience of the college students I'm facing frequently nowadays?
Yes. Preeti, there again, I would put the onus on you. And if I were in your place, I would put the onus on me, because it really is something that something that we have to question. Why are our students impatient? You can't be, I believe, under the circumstances, you can't be putting this on them. The onus is on us. If they are impatient, perhaps we are not offering them value. And the challenge is much greater today, because sometimes, most of the times, they're already coming to your class informed. Some of them have already read up. And many a times, students know more than the teacher these days. So it's again a very new situations that we're all dealing with. It's a question of you identifying where and with what they see value and being their friend, philosopher, guide. There are enough number of people, teachers that young people look up to and feel very
Mhm,
connected with. And
mhm.
it would be interesting to know what are they offering to their students. But the onus, as far as I see it, is clearly with the teacher, the older person. The onus is on the older person to
Mhm.
connect here or to take care of the impatience.
Okay. So it's more about let's be furthermore prepared to manage them.
Relevant, yes, relevant. They have to see value in what. If a young person, Sanjay, today does not see value in staying connected with me, they will not
Oh yeah,
make the effort to
nobody
stay
connects.
connected with me.
Nobody will connect.
So the onus is on me to stay relevant to them, right? I have to offer them something.
Yeah, of course. So we'll wait for some time. Any person has a question. In the meantime, hello Arvind to be on our show. Okay, there was Amrita agreeing to some point. Amita, sorry. There's a question. How to address demands that are expensive yet needed by kids?
Yes. So the answer to that, Amita, in my experience, is again, I would put the connection at the center of everything. If you are connected with your child, if there is that strong attachment with the child, that emotional bank account that we just discussed, then all these things fall into place. If it's
Hmm.
expensive, your child will listen to your logic. You will be able to reason with the child, and they will see your point of view. So, and but if it's an investment, if you think it's good for the child's development, for the child's growth, and even though
That,
it's expensive, you want to get it for them, go ahead and get it for them. I've done that with my children. I used to tell them that your education, your progress, your growth, professional growth is very important. So if you need something expensive for this, absolutely. But no
mm,
money for luxuries or for wasting. But for this is number one. So it's a call that the parent will have to make. And I believe that the child feels connected enough to you, they will understand. They will see reason. They will not be
oh,
unreasonable.
I put it in a different way a little bit when I was handling my kid and my nephew or niece. I always believe there is a paper thin line, between pampering and over pampering. So if you keep the
That's true.
line below pampering, everybody wants to pamper the child. And I think that responsibility is with the parent itself. Are we over pampering the child?
Sanjay,
And
I have a
when we
point
look
here.
at,
We
yes, sir.
people had a joint family: parents,
Yes, yes.
grandparents, brothers,
Yeah.
uncles, aunts, and we had a
Challenge.
different system that time. Today, as soon as the son or the daughter gets married, they want to have their own house, stay alone, stay separate. So I think that has also gone down in this creation of this distancing between in the adolescent that we miss out on looking after while we are building our careers. The adolescent is looked after by the maids or the servants or left to the neighbors or in the school after play. I mean, play school after the coming back from school. So that type of an environment is basically we have let them there, while should have continued to live in a joint family, but because of space constraint and money issues and all that stuff, I think this has disintegrated. This is also responsible to some extent. I
Mhm.
would like to have your thoughts on that, Nirja.
Yes, yes. I think you're absolutely right, Harish, because in societies that are more advanced, considered more advanced today, there is a problem of being isolated, feeling isolated, and more and more they realize that it actually does take a village to raise a child. So a child may be, even though disconnected with the parents sometimes, they may be an uncle, they may be an aunt, they may be a coach, they may be a teacher who the child feels safe with. And that is where the extended family comes in. So yes, the community is very important. And yes, certainly it takes a village. An extended family is good if your child has other adults that they feel safer with. That's
Mhm.
important.
Yeah. Okay. This, I think Amita again pointed that there's some prestige issue facing the.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, it's a
yes,
big challenge, especially
yes, it is.
I'll point out especially to one particular product, I think, that is these days the adolescents, everybody wants the latest version of iPhone.
True, true.
So
That's
there
true.
is, yeah, there is always this peer comparison or,
Yes, Sanjay. So, earlier we were very uncomfortable with these uneasy situations with our children, but today those uneasy situations are going to happen. You can take it you can take it as a given. But
Mhm.
the thing is, the hopeful thing is that if you're able to last these situations, last these uneasy, equations that are going on around you, eventually things will settle down. Eventually things will settle down. So there'll be these speed breakers where the child wants something that you don't want to buy them, and or the child is in a relationship that you're uncomfortable with. But these are new situations that we are all going to be facing. We are facing today. The thing is to be there, the safe space for your child, and eventually, I believe my faith is that it does settle down. It does settle down eventually.
Yeah.
So, Nirja, it comes down to only one thing: give your child time, time, time.
Attachment,
Yeah,
connection.
Connection.
commit time
Absolutely.
so that you
Yes.
create that attachment. You know, when I used to
Yes.
do my sessions with some of these CEOs, and when they were feeling uncomfortable, I used to share only one thought: create a timetable that you, your wife, and your children are half an hour before the dinner or the lunch or the breakfast sitting together and listening to the child.
Yes.
And then you can share, care, grow. But if you don't do that as a routine, year on year, week on week, month on month, I think that is where the distance starts. And they want to have in their own room the lunch or the dinner or the breakfast, and you say, I will have it later, and there's no timetable. And if the parents are not staying with you, I think that also makes a difference. Now, if your
Yeah.
parents are with you, you have a timetable to have dinner at a particular time, and everybody sits on the table. So,
Yeah.
which used to happen in our time, and I think now it has lost that significance or priority or whatever you may call it. That could be also one of the reasons for moving out.
Yeah.
True.
Great. So, Ninja, it was fantastic session, and we already overshot the time. And before I let you go, I will like to know about your recent writings, your books.
Yes. I've written a book on the generation gap again. I call it No Time to Be Young because the pun is on the fact that you literally don't have time to be young today. And also that this is not a good time to be young because there are challenges that the young are facing. And
Mhm.
my second manuscript is ready, so that'll be out soon, on the generation gap again. But
Mhm.
Sanjay, I do want to conclude by saying that this thing of attachment doesn't many of parents today are very scared of alienating their children or their children and we want to be popular with our children, but I do believe that if there's some certain things we feel very strongly about, we must draw the boundary there and say this is something I cannot do, and be comfortable with the child being a little upset with you for a few days. It's all right. Children at the end of all this, they do know, they sense that you are with them, you're connected with them, but there's a certain logic in this, and you're not ready to go that distance. So this doesn't mean that you just have to say yes to everything the child is saying. That I wanted to make that clear.
Exactly.
That's all.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. It was really a pleasure having you with us today on Sunday afternoon. It was really a
Thank
good
you very
learning, and
much.
we look forward for your new book.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay.
Mr.
Thank you.
Harish,
Thank you,
closing
Harish.
comments for teacher.
Yeah, thank you
Thank you.
very much, Nirja. It was very, very interesting to learn your perspective. And I'm sure a lot of people gained value and would love to imbibe what they learned from you. And me in particular, I feel the generation needs to be cared, looked after, taken care of, and you can get with them if you participate, if you listen,
Yes.
and you help them in getting what they want.
Yeah.
Wherever there is resistance, I think the separation will start. So keep in touch day on day so that you don't lose that. And once you lost it, you lost the child forever. It takes a lot of time, energy, and resilience to feel that yes,
Yeah.
you need to have your child back. And by that time, it's too late. So I've seen families, because they were busy on their front, they lost out, and the ayahs and the servants and the drivers would look after them more. And the parents have really lost out. And where I feel today I miss out is the grandparent culture. I feel that was a great thing to have happened
Yes.
with us, and we could be looked after when we used to come back from school. If the mother was in her school, we would be looked after. We could go out to play and come back, and we had our full time. So
Awesome.
today, the missing thing is the grandparent, and the missing thing is the parent are busy and occupied with their WhatsApp and their kitties and their groups, which needs to be curtailed. As a senior now, I feel don't lose your child when he wants you. You know, I am reminded of Marshall Goldsmith, my guru. He, in 1992, his children asked him, Dad, we want something from you. So he said, Yes. What do you want from me? His two children. He said, We want 90 days from you in 1 year. He used to travel globally. He said, Done. Next year I'll give you my 90 days. After 3 years, the children said, Dad, we need only 45 days of yours. Thank you for being there with us when we needed you. So it's important for you to give your time, give your energy, and lend your ears to your children. Instead of shouting, howling, or abusing them, please let go this habit. And I must confess, the earlier you let go, the sooner you will come back and the
Better it
child will
is.
start owning you. It's very important to get this in your mindset that you can't lose. And today people have only one or two. Earlier people used to have dozens, so it wouldn't matter. I mean, half a dozen was the norm. Now
Yes.
even one, it takes time. Two can't happen so soon.
True.
Three, you don't
True.
know whether it will happen or not. So
Mhm.
my piece of advice is, or my thought is, give your time, attention. Don't only spray your money on your children. Time and
Yeah.
attention, give them now when they need
Absolutely.
it, and give them the right education. हमारे में कहते थे संस्कार. So
Mm.
we need to have a good hold on that part, that we need to teach them where we come from, what is our heritage, the Vedas, or whatever you come from, you need to teach them so that they have it. And when I've been traveling, I've been teaching people all over. And sometimes in the US and in the Canada, I'm surprised the children can't speak their mother tongue. The parents, I mean, my generation has not taught them how to speak Hindi or
Mhm.
the the festivals, the languages that we need to know. So it's important. So
Yeah.
I feel we need to do our bit and keep doing it and not lose out. That's the way I look at it. And Nirja, your perspective was wonderful and great for sharing. And I'm sure a lot of people will be looking after you to have more and more from you. You can share your numbers, your email, so that people who want to connect with you, they will be happy to connect with you.
Yeah. In fact,
Thank you once again.
that is a very important last question. Is that how, if people want to reach you, how will they reach you?
Yes, Sanjay. My number, my email ID. Where do I
So
put
if
it?
you can just tell me what is your website or any email ID?
Yes, nirja@nirjasingh.com. Should I type it in the chat box?
Uh, if you can, otherwise I am just doing it for you. Nija at.
At nirjasingh.com. I just entered it. Nirja@nirjasingh.com.
I'll throw it on the screen. Here it is.
Yes. Yes. That's right.
So, viewers, if you want to reach Nija, that's her email ID. And definitely www.nijasingh.com is her website. You should be following this
Yes.
email ID. And that's her personal email ID. She has been gracious enough to share her personal email ID. You can reach her for your needs. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us today.
Thank
It was lovely
you.
hosting.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Sanjay. Thank you.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
So another wonderful afternoon, Sunday, sir. And thank you for your also time taking out on every Sunday. So any closing comments before we close the show? We are already 12 minutes ahead.
I think this is a great thing that people need to bring into their routine. They need to start practicing child time, wife time, and father and mother time. If you're not doing it at home, and especially in these times, you should have done overtime. When you're at
Yeah.
home, you have everybody around. This was the time to bring all that back. And those of us who have done it, I'm sure they are blessed. The child has come back. The wife is more hospitable and courteous to you now. And the parents, of course, you have given them time. So this was an ideal time during these COVID times. And especially if you can keep doing it over and over again, I don't see a reason that there should be a drift or a shift in the child's mindset. He feels
Yeah.
more happy being at home than being with his friends, unless he's getting value in terms of knowledge and wisdom from the people he's surrounded by. And we need to
Awesome.
make sure that he's surrounded by the right people, and the right people have been speaking to him, the right people have been coming in his life, and the knowledge sharing is with the right people. Because
Awesome.
today, it's a bad, bad, bad world outside. And if you can care, share, listen, learn with your child, I think this adolescent is a great period for them to grow leaps and bounds.
Awesome. Awesome. Great, sir. Thank you for your time today. And it was, as always, a pleasure to be with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Blessed. You're doing a great job spreading this message, the new you, through your channel. And I feel lots and lots of people worldwide will start visiting your channel and accepting that something new is going to happen every single week, same time, same day, 4 p.m. India time. And you can see your watches wherever you are in the world and stay connected. And in case you want to share your thoughts, we would love to have you. You can reach out to us, show you globally in case you feel it's the right platform for you. Looking forward to some great people joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay.
So, dear friends, that was Nija Singh today, our expert. And I'm 100% sure you would have gained out of it a lot of learnings. And one important message, which I will say, is that it all starts with anxiety. Be careful. Anxiety is not only with the kids, it's also with the parents. It's not about just communicating. It's not just communication. It's about connecting. It's about connecting with each other to understand each other better. And the relationships will grow and the challenges will be handled much easier. So that was all for the day. Next Sunday, I see you again at 4 p.m. with a new expert, the new view, and the official channels of Oslas Consulting. Till then, bye-bye. Stay safe. Take care.